Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and I have another fun Christmas card to share with you today. Hey, so I'm using Jaded Blossom's Pinecone die, along with their poinsettia die, their Holly 2 stamp set, their Scallop Circle dies, their Holly Berry Stencil, their rectangle dies, and their scalloped rectangle dies. I also pull out our fancy heart dies a little later in the video. There we go. Now I ink blended this little background on the October release and review. So check that out, October 2023 release and review. But I did use Distress Oxide ink and Rustic Wilderness and Lumberjack Plaid. And I cut it out with the stitched rectangle die that was 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. So now this is a piece of Recollections Craft cardstock cut with a 1 1/2 inch circle die, just a no-name brand die. Then I cut out a 1 3/4 inch circle die that's also a no-name brand out of Scarlet Jewel cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. Then I used our Scalloped Circle die, and that was cut at 1 15/16 out of Recollections Gold Mirror cardstock. Okay, so now I'm going to stick down this little, my little stenciled, front layer, card front, I guess you want to call it, with some Bearly Art glue onto some close to my heart, Concord and 9th evergreen cardstock, cut at, what did I say here? Just an 1/8 of an inch larger than the stitched rectangle die that I used. And then I stuck it down onto that gold mirror cardstock that I cut with the scalloped rectangle die, 4 3/16 by 5 3/8. And I'm just going to lay that down on a Paper Tray Ink Scarlet Jewel, horizontal A2 size card base. So that is cut at 5 1/2 inches by 8 1/2 inches, scored at 4 1/4 inches. So you've got a horizontal fold. So there we go. Now on the inside, I'm going to add some Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock cut at 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm just going to add that to the inside of my card with some ATG tape. And then I will add a strip of that ink blended stenciled background, just a 1-inch strip. And I'm going to put it on some more of that Concord and 9th evergreen cardstock. So that's like 1 1/4 inches wide. And then this is 1 inch wide. Just, to decorate the inside of the card. So there you go. And I will cut off the overhang with a pair of scissors. Just making sure it's straight. There you go. So pretty. And there you have it. So, pretty fast and easy, those two things. There we go. And then I did some die cutting. So you'll see that I cut those little gold filigrees out. Then I also used Paper Tray Ink Pine Feather cardstock along with Concord and 9th's Evergreen for the greens. And then the little berries, those were cut out of Paper Tray Ink's Scarlet Jewel, just to echo the card base. So I'm just going to layer up this greenery. So you'll see there's the two colors, right? The darker color is the Pine Feather from Paper Tray Ink. The lighter is that Concord and 9th Evergreen. There we go. And I'm going to add on this little berry. It's just so pretty. So the idea is I'm going to have them coming out of the upper left and the lower right of that little scalloped circle. There we go. And I'm going to add the berries to the lower right. So kind of fun. And then I will figure out where the little filigrees will go. That's from the poinsettia dies. I love using the filigrees from that set. It's a really pretty die set. There we go. And I do, add in all of these little filigrees. Now, remember, all the greenery came from the Pinecone dies. That's another fun set. So there we go. So I'm just sort of figuring out where these little filigrees will end up. And, you know, I think that the, gold mirror cardstock kind of adds a little bit of shine and bling. So now I'm going to pop up that little circle with some 3M foam tape. And I'll pop that up, covering that gap in the greenery. And then we will have a really pretty looking card so far, I think. I love that new stencil from Jaded Blossom, right? The Hollyberry stencil, isn't that pretty? There we go. So now I'm pulling out Jaded Blossom's Fancy Heart die. I do this quite a bit. So I'm going to cut this die out of that gold foil cardstock from Recollections. And I'm just going to use the little hearts as my embellishment, right? So I'm going to use 3 different sizes of hearts. And I will pop them up with some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. And I'm using my Studio Katia embellishment wand to pick them up a little bit, or at least I did. I was using it to turn them over. Now I'm using my reverse tweezers to place them. So 2 in the upper right of the circle, 1 in the lower left of the circle. I like to, kind of do a visual triangle. And then what I'll do is I'll put these little gold hearts back in the Fancy Heart dies bag. And then I have a bunch more to use on cards later if I want to make, if I want to use them as decorations. I've got a bunch of different colors in there already that I keep. So I'm going to add 3 to the inside too, just for a little bit of embellishment. I think it makes things a little bit more, I don't know, fancy, right? And there you go. So kind of fun. Now I'm going to pull out Nouveau Crystal Drops in Autumn Red. So what you want to do is you want to make sure the nozzle is nice and clear, and then, put them somewhere so they can keep warm. I like to put mine in my bra, but that's my little secret. And I'll leave it in there while I'm working on the card, and then they'll be nice and warm so they will settle nicely. I find it's just the best way, especially if you work in a cooler climate. I'm sure if you're designing in Florida, it doesn't really matter. But, up in Canada or in the cooler months, you'd want them to be nice and warm when you're working with them. And there you go. Isn't that pretty? I added a few to the little berries on the background as well. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog, Be Inspired, the Jaded Blossom store to get your hands on these amazing products. And thank you as always for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. And come back and watch another one. Bye, everybody.